ego comes and stops us in our tracks. Bravely we prove in our striving, trudging together each day. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Good afternoon. I think we're going to go with red. I'm not going to go with red. There we go. We'll go with the solid green. Yeah, let's go with green. Red means mad. It's usually what it means. So, a little bit off topic here. You know, if you're wondering about something, why do people not go to Google and ask questions? I mean, you got to ask questions. Don't go to Facebook for it. Don't, you're going to get 100, but I saw somebody, they're having trouble, so I keep sending them rocks in the mail. And it's a scam, but you got to know what kind of scam it is. It's called a brushing scam. They're just trying to get you to write reviews. So just return to sender, my friends. If you didn't order a package and it seems not legit, don't open it. Return it to sender. Good afternoon, Leisure. Good to see you. Good to see you. But yeah, question everything. Question everything, man. You're right, Leisure. Research is vital. I do a lot of research before I really talk on something that's a little bit more just do your research. Shell says, is it learning to love yourself? And she's asking if that's the greatest gift of all. What's her name? She sung a song called The Greatest Gift of All. Married to Bobby Brown. Why can't I remember her name? It was in The Bodyguard. Anyway, we're going to find out what the greatest gift of all is. I read a little bit, so I kind of already know. And learning to love yourself, sure, that could be part of it. Absolutely. Excuse me. All right, let's get this party started. Welcome to Daily Trudge. My name is Dion. If you're here, yeah, Whitney Houston. That's who it was. Thank you, Michelle. It was bothering me. And shame on me for remembering Bobby Brown's name over Whitney Houston. Welcome to Daily Trudge. Girl, you know it's true. Actually, that's Milli Vanilli. If you're here, please say hello, whether you're watching the live or the rewatch. We do a lot of music around here. May not be the music you listen to, and I apologize for that, but we're just trying to have some fun. Yeah, the greatest love of all, Whitney. Do your research. Fuck you, Leisure. And that was a kind fuck you, so people know. Leisure's a good friend of mine. I can tell him that. He's like, do your research. All right. The greatest gift of all, December 1957. I am reading from Language of the Heart. I'm on page 233. If you'd like to follow along and you have the book. The greatest gift that can come to anybody is a spiritual awakening. Without doubt, this would be the certain verdict of every well-recovered alcoholic in AA's entire fellowship. I enjoy being a recovered alcoholic. Absolutely, I do. It's nice to be able to use my brain again. It's nice not to be going off half-cocked, reacting to things, understanding a little bit, doing my research, those types of things. Yeah. So then what is a spiritual awakening, this transforming experience? How can we receive it, and what does it do? To begin with, A spiritual awakening is our means of finding sobriety. And to us, AA sobriety means life itself. We know that a spiritual experience is the key to survival from alcoholism, and that for most of us, it was the only key. We must awake or we die. Now, he said it. He said it here, okay? And that most of us, it is the only key, right? There are other programs out there. There are other programs out there, and they do work. I think Celebrate Recovery is celebrating 20 years. Good on them, man. Good on them. 20 years, good start. It's a very good start. I know 20 years seems like a lot, but in what we do, 20 years is a good start. Okay. I'm a fan of Celebrate Recovery. Reason that I don't attend them is there's not much structure and everybody's talking over each other. And for me, that just gets really confusing. But those meetings are a lot of fun, man. They really are. And I would recommend checking some out. Absolutely. So we must awake or we die. Yeah. It's not easy. When we get into the program, we're going to lose a couple of things. Okay. Number one is our best friend, alcohol. Lose alcohol, right? So we lost our best friend. And then the death of the old self. And you're going to feel it. You're going to grieve. Maybe not the regular grieving process, but you will grieve over these things. Absolutely. You're losing something. You're losing a part of yourself. And that can hurt. One that you're familiar with. Maybe it isn't the best part of yourself, but at least you know it, you understand it. Right? So we do awake and we are sober. Then what? In sobriety, all that we are to expect is sobriety all that we are to expect of a spiritual awakening? Again, the voice of AA speaks up. Nope. Sobriety is only a bare beginning. It is only the first gift of the first awakening. That means that there will be more awakenings. Okay. We call them epiphanies. Hi, Amber. Popular. That's a type of tree. A popular. She said popular. I'm just trying to give her a hard time. Right. So, Leisure said, for those who might be unsure about the power of AA, I spoke to my friend Larry yesterday, who on March 1st celebrated 50 years without a drink. Fucking awesome. Fucking awesome. He's been sober most of my life. My dad died with, my biological father died with 52 years of sobriety. Ah, pretty cool. Pretty cool. He actually got sober because he ended up in jail for stealing a bunch of guns. He broke into somebody's house, stole some guns, ended up in jail. Right. And that's where my mom and him separated. And when he got out of jail, he was excommunicated from Utah and he stayed sober the rest of his life. Used to be just, oh, that's what you're saying. Thank you, Amber. Yeah, it used to just be Amber and me here for a long time. A long time. Right. But so we get a lot of spiritual awakenings, and they might come as epiphanies, a sudden good thought. Your intuition tells you something, you follow through, and it worked. Pretty cool stuff. If more gifts are to be received, our awakening has to go on. Okay. And if our awakening has to go on, that means that there's going to be action and more action. Action is key to everything that we do, right? And if it does go on, we find that bit by bit, we can discard the old life, the one that did not work, for a new life that can and does work under any conditions, whatever. I have found this so. You know, I try not to measure my problems anymore. I try not to give a worth to my problems. Problems are problems. Some seem to be a little bit harder to work through than others. Regardless of worldly success or failure, regardless of pain or joy, regardless of sickness or health, or even death itself, a new life of endless possibilities can be lived if we are willing to continue our awakening. Okay. We're part of what we call the no matter what club. We don't drink no matter what. Now, they did notice regardless of pain or joy. See, joy can bring things on. Excitement can certainly do it. Hi, Clara. Good to see you. Excitement. Because we don't talk about it much. We just think excitement's going to be okay. And, you know, I've seen more people go out because something good happened, because everything was fine. Because pain is the touchstone of most change. Right. Right. Oh, I stayed sober through death and I can stay sober. But the moment they get a raise, the moment they get promoted, maybe a chunk of money, I've seen people do, even in the industry. I watched somebody get $80,000. They just fucking disappeared. Poof. Not sure if they're still sober or not. Soon after he entered AA, a certain newcomer approached me and said, "I'm sober and it's mighty near a miracle." I admitted that I was licked, came to a few meetings, began to get honest with myself and my sponsor. Then that awful urge for a drink suddenly left me. There's been no more booze fighting. The desire for alcohol has simply evaporated, and I can't yet understand why or just how. Here in AA, folks are wonderful. They care and they understand. It's a brand new world to me. Sometimes we don't need to know why or how. Money was your downfall, Michelle? Yeah, money takes a lot of alcoholics. You can do it. Getting a good stretch here. Right. So I don't really need to know why or how it happened. It happened, and I should be happy about that. In a sense, I kind of know why and how it happened. There's a clinical side to that. We don't really talk about it much in Alcoholics Anonymous, but it has to do things with like accountability, having a good support system, not hanging around old friends, old playmates, old play places, and we talk about some of those things in AA. I don't know, but I don't know how. I do know why, though. I do know why. Because I can help when no one else can. And that's got to be good enough. If it's not good enough, you're not done fighting. But, continued Mr. Newcomer, I'm still plumb puzzled. I don't just see how this God business fits into practical living. And when they talk about a new life for an old one, I can't take it all in. Sure enough, I'm sober, and that's new. But now that I've gone ex grog, what's the matter? What's the matter with me with trying to live my old life? Ex grog. Grog is drunk by orcs. It's actually from Lord of the Rings. They actually refer to Lord of the Rings a lot. Lord of the Rings came out in what, 1936? When did The Hobbit come out?
According to Britannica, in 1937, The Hobbit was published.
1937 is when The Hobbit came out. Right. A lot of influence from Lord of the Rings in a lot of things. But that's where grog came from. Anyway, what's the matter with trying to live my old life? That was okay until the liquor got me. I was going places on my way making my pile. That means money. Things weren't too bad at home either until my wife yelled that she'd had enough of me and left. All I need is sobriety, and AA can keep on giving me that. Now I can go about my business. I'm sure I can make a better job of it this time. See, he forgot that all of his best ideas, drunk or sober, got him to AA. You're still going to do the same thing. So we're going to talk about the drunk horse thief because it's the best example. We really got to think on these things. It's more than just, well, if you have a drunk horse thief and you sober up, you have a sober horse thief. There's way more to it than that. A lot more. What you know, so you go help, this is what'll happen, right? You're working with a drunk horse thief, and what you do is you get him sober. Such a great guy. You help him get sober, everything else. Maybe you give him a little bit of money, a place to sleep so he can get his stuff together. And what does he do? He steals your horse. Problem wasn't the alcoholism. It was the getting away with the horse thieving. That's the problem. The problem is the horse thieving. Now he's also stealing a better quality of horse. He's getting better at it. He will steal more horses. That's the problem. What the alcohol did is it lowered his inhibition so he had enough bravery to start stealing horses and getting away with them. That's what that was. It was a catalyst to something else. All right, now we're going to make AA the catalyst. 4 years later, I ran across that same newcomer. Well, Joe, I said, have you made your pile yet? Did your wife come back? They're such assholes back then. Awesome. Actually, that's a very assertive statement. With half a smile, Joe looked at me steadily and replied, no, Bill, nothing of the kind happened. For a whole year, I had a devil of a time. How I stayed sober was more of a miracle than getting sober in the first place. I had to make that pile and get her back, or else I was going to be miserable. Sounds like somebody needs to work a little bit on their emotional sobriety, huh? Right. See, when it comes to my wife, do I need my wife in my life? No. In order to stay sober, does her being around make my life better? Fuck yeah, it does. Yes, it does. Do I want her in my life? Absolutely, I do. There's a big difference there. Oh, I would die for my kids. I would die for them. Well, you're already dying for them by putting that alcohol. You're literally committing suicide right in front of them. So I agree with that. But the question is, would you get well for them? Would you become a better person for them? Are you willing to do that? Because in this case, death is the easy way out. And miserable I certainly was, but little by little, I woke up to the possibility that God hadn't put me on earth for the purpose of getting all the money, prestige, and romance that I could lay my hands on. I finally had to face the fact that I would have to settle for less, a lot less. And if I couldn't accept this, I'd probably get drunk again. And he's correct. Sacrifice. Does this mean that you're going to be broke the rest of your life? No, it's not what it means. It means that money isn't the end goal. People and having somebody good looking on your arm is not the goal. Quite often I talk to a young man, newly sober, 2-3 months. But I love her, Dion. You just met her. No, you're in lust with her, is what you are. Right? Because you don't understand love. So I don't understand what you think you're saying. I've never felt this way before. No, that's usually a lie. Well, maybe not, because you're not on the alcohol, so the feeling's a little bit more intense there. Huh? Right. So I tell him, because I'm not going to be able to stop him. Okay, well, if you're going to do that, at the very least, be honest about your intentions. Be honest about your intentions. And you know what? They usually come back and say, well, she didn't want that. Oh, well, no shit, huh? She didn't want to fling with you? Surprising. See, we've got to become something worth having. Got to be worth something having first. And you attract what you are. And if you are still sick, then you will attract the opposite sex or a sexual partner who is as sick as you. All right. Amber says growing a big beard is the goal. Amber must like the beards. I know a lot of girls like the beards. It was funny because I sent I think I was talking to Pastor Marcia, and I sent her to so that she could see all the people working for All the Way Well. And she comes back, she's like, I'd like to meet some of these people. I love those beards. Fucking Marcia. She's a pastor. All right. Leisure says, be impeccable with your words. Seems to be an ongoing thing. You really like that line. You really like that line because it's a good line. And we have to remember, right? We have to be reminded. So thank you for posting that. So I quit giving lip service to a serenity prayer and really began to use it. Over and over, I kept saying, God grant me the strength to accept things I cannot change, courage, change things I can, and the wisdom know the difference. Amber says, I did, but I'm okay with no beard too. Well, that's good because your hubby doesn't have one. That I remember. Maybe he has one now. Maybe someday I'll grow a beard. I don't know. As I slowly learned acceptance, my pain subsided. I began to wake up and look around. I began to see that my modest job was a means of living and serving society. Leisure says he likes that line because it's essential. Yeah, it is. It's a good way to look at things and give yourself direction. Whew. I am on fire, man. And by fire, I mean I'm hot. Why am I so hot today? I haven't taken my meds. That would do it. Okay. So I'll have to take my meds right after this. I began to see my modest job. The bigger and better job could no longer be my chief aim. Then I looked at AA. What had I done for the fellowship that had saved my life? Great question. Great question. It's one that I ask a lot of people. Leisure's beard is essential. No beard for you. It would cover up your chin dimple. Yeah. Yeah, I've got a cleft in my chin. My daughter hates the fact that she got it. She got it. She's not very happy about it. All my kids got it. Even my grandkids have the cleft in their chin. Yeah, and I ask a lot of people that go out there and do. Here's the thing: is if you're gonna work in the field, if you went to AA, you became a recovered alcoholic, and you went on to be a professional, which there's nothing wrong with, or a recovery coach, or something like that, you best be giving to the program first. Are you sponsoring people? No, I have clients. They're not the same. That is not the same thing. Those are two separate things. So this person asked a very valid question. What had I done for the fellowship that had saved my life? Mighty little, I had to confess. So I began to go to meetings with a very different attitude. I quit my envy of financially well-heeled AAs and listened closely to what they said. I learned that their money was no longer a symbol of prestige. It was a trust for the best use to which it could be put. In other words, that money is kind of a privilege, and they're using that privilege in order to make things better, not their own life, their own community. They also showed me that the temptation of riches could sometimes be worse than the pains of poverty. I also found that there's no such thing as an unfortunate AA. That is, if he were a real member, If sick, he was fine. If sick, he was by fine example and inspiration to both sick and well. If poor in pocket, he couldn't often be rich in spirit, an eager worker, and a servant of our society. I'm broke. I'll hardly bring in any money, but I still get paid. I still get paid, right? The light behind me, that costs money. $17. I couldn't go for some $70 one that had a bunch of bells and whistles. No, I had to keep it simple, man. And what does that do? Well, it provides me with humility. It makes me think outside the box. It makes me appreciate the things that I do have. And, like the fan that I'm using behind me right there. I've had that fucker for 10 years. I just fix it. It comes apart a little bit every now and again, and I fix it. I clean it up. I treat it with some respect, and it continues to work. Right? Now, I don't get mad at people that in AA that do have money. It has nothing to do with it. But money will even make you say things like, I had a high bottom. I have a lot of money, so therefore I was a functioning alcoholic. Okay? That is an oxymoron. There is no such thing as a functioning alcoholic. It does not exist. Or we all would have done it. A functioning alcoholic means you can now drink like a normal person. That's what that means. So no. Money has nothing to do with it. And that's the problem I'm fighting in Colorado right now. Everybody's after the money. I make a big difference. How much money did it take? How much money did it take? Not very much. Not very much. It took time and effort. That's what it took. Okay. See, I don't have much money. I don't really have any money to put in the basket even. So I do service work. I give of my time. Leisure says rich people can be drunks too. Yeah. Okay. The only requirement to be an alcoholic is that you're human. It's the only requirement. I now see that awakening and growing is something that never needs stop, and growing pains are never to be feared, provided I am willing to learn the truth about myself from them. I think Claire just posted something about that. Let me go here. If I remember correctly. Grassroots. Yeah. Every time you level up, your old life will try to call you back. Don't answer. Those are growing pains. Amber says I go to an auction with them once a year. With the rich people. All right. Now let's go the opposite tact with the people with money in AA. These are also the people that end up usually starting clubs and places where we can meet. So thank you for that. I appreciate it. You know how much it cost me? Nothing. Henderson Community Church didn't charge me. Community Resource Center, they're not charging me. Is it because it's AA? No, it's because they trust me. It's because they trust me. I've done a lot of work for them. And that's not a brag. It's just what it is. All right. Hey, Heather. Heather says, damn, Dion, as soon as I log on, you're reading my mail. It wasn't the money. It was the professional position that did pay well that led me to tell myself that lie. Here's a great question that my therapist makes me answer all the time. She says, Dion, is that what you really want? I'm like, son of a bitch. No, I'm just using it to complain or beef this up. And no, I really don't want to open 10 sober living homes. The amount of that makes me want to crawl into a hole. Amber says the main part of the Bale Swall Gala, the silent auction and the live auction, they do an open bar for a reason. Yeah. Yeah, you do an open bar for that for a reason, because then people's inhibitions get lowered and they spend more money. I get that. Why not? Why not? It's a sales tactic. One used quite often. Right. And I don't mind. I don't mind. Not everybody's an alcoholic like Dion. Right. But that means that those normal drinkers are there and they only need one before their inhibitions get lowered. So one, maybe two. Leisure says if you call yourself a functioning alcoholic, you are functionally in denial. Yep. I would have to agree with that. All right. The other day in old time, AA gave an example, which I never forget. Jack is a real old timer. In fact, he started AA in my town. I used to envy him because he was a millionaire. They told me he was in our local hospital, deathly sick and about to die. In a way, I hated to go there. It would be so sad. When I walked into the room, it was filled with AAs in a happy mood. They were happy because Jack was happy. He was telling funny drinking stories, now and then wiping away the blood that ran down his chin from his cancerous mouth. He sat upright, his legs and bare feet hanging from the edge of the bed. A nurse came in, remonstrating, begging him to lie down. Waving her away, he said, if I lie flat on this bed, I might die now. And that would be too bad because I want to go to our AA state convention next week. Isn't that awesome? All right. Still thinking of AA. We saw that this was no bravado. He really meant it. A little later, Jack again spoke of death. He said that he had a wonderful life. Whiskey had brought him great pain as a result. AA had given him great joy. With his awakening in AA had come the utter conviction. Indeed, the sure knowledge that in my Father's house there are many mansions. Everybody there could see that to Jack, death was but a fresh awakening. He never did get to the AA convention. So that means he passed in the hospital. But in a way, he had his own state commit. There's only one line left. Let's go ahead and read it. But Jack knew, and we all know, that this didn't really matter, for Jack was in full possession of the greatest gift of all. Can I call myself a functioning sober alcoholic thanks to the 12 steps? Absolutely, you can. Absolutely, you can. If you want to be terminally unique. It's a very good question, though. But she put an LOL after it, so she's kind of screwing around. But yeah, absolutely, you can. You can call yourself that. I don't know that many people are going to listen. I'm going to 10-step it. That's a joke. That's just a joke. Oh, man. So the greatest gift of all are spiritual awakenings. And a lot of things can happen in spiritual awakenings. When we first started, Michelle had brought up is learning how to love yourself, the greatest love, the greatest gift of all. Certainly it can be. That can be a spiritual awakening, that you can finally look yourself in the mirror and like what it is that you see, that you're not embarrassed to hold your head high, that you can speak with confidence and courage because you know what you're talking about now, because we're not running around creating bad things in our neighborhoods, because we do everything that we can to go out of our way to help another person who is in need, So for me, I mean, the greatest gift of all could be a lot of things, but that spiritual awakening is usually what leads to those. And the longer I'm in the program, the more service work I do, the more I work on that Trinity. The Trinity is recovery, unity, and service. Recovery is the 12 steps. Unity is the 12 traditions, and service is service. A lot of different kind of service work out there. I do not, for me, when it comes to sponsees, that is not part of my service work. I don't consider that my service work. You certainly can. I'm not saying, but for me, I don't consider that my service work. I have to, if I go out of my way to a detox and do a 12 step or something like that, I would consider that service work. Now, how come I don't consider that? Because I'm going through the steps again with a guide again. With a guide again. Claire Joyce says, to thy own self be true, to look within without fear. Yeah. Way to add on to that. Yeah. You know, there's a line by Live, and he says, I fear no man, and I fear no pain. And he wrote that when he was 19 years old. That one hits me hard. It does. I do not fear any man, nor do I fear the pain. Okay? It might hurt. Okay. And what we're talking about there is a spiritual pain. All right. Well, those pains now are the pains of growing up. They're growing pains. And that is a good thing. Grassroots going through a shit ton of growing pains right now. A bunch. I brought this idea up earlier. I'm going to bring it up again, and we'll go ahead and start to wrap up. I have a sponsee at 2:00, and he's going to help me go through the steps again. And then I got service work at 5:00. I got to host a meeting. So what happens when you go into a Zoom room, and this will help, I think this will help, it's a good way to get rid of the trolls and bombers, but the true intent is to create another service position. Because when you go to a Zoom meeting, I want it to feel as much like an in-person meeting as I can. That's what we're going for, because there's a certain camaraderie there. When we do these hybrid meetings, I want people to feel like the same thing is happening. And so if we have a greeter at the in-person meeting, then there needs to be a greeter for the for the Zoom meeting. Okay. So what happens is usually to get into the room, you got to put in a password, or you go into what's called a waiting room. Okay. We utilize the waiting room because I don't want people to have to memorize a password too. The easier I can make it to help you to get to the meeting, the better. But I also have to think of safety. Because sometimes people go into these meetings, and if there's a lot of bombers, and and they might leave, and guess who's that on? That's on me, the person hosting. So when you come in, let's say you have a waiting room, right? You let this person in. Now they're in the main room. And that is where the greeter will be. Hey, can you turn on your camera for me? Okay. Well, Bob, welcome. I'm gonna put you in the room, and then you move them to the breakout room. And the breakout room is where the meeting happens. I think it's a great idea. I think it's a fantastic idea. But the group's got to vote on it first, right? Yes, we do. I got a lot of neat ideas for doing hybrid. I do. So, all right. I might be back a little bit later. Probably not. It really depends on whether Pastor Marcia, and I should probably get some stuff done. Good chance I won't be back. But I will see a lot of you at the 5:00 meeting. Okay. We have 5:00 meeting, and all of you are welcome. All of you are welcome. In fact, let's do this. I don't usually do stuff like this, but I'm going to today. Give me a second. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put our there you go. I'm going to put our link to the meeting in chat. There you go. You can copy and paste that. Maybe you can click on it right now, take you to the room so it saves it in your spot. Things like that. I'll continue talking for a few minutes so you can do that. If you're in the grassroots, start inviting some people. You know, invite more people, because I said that wrong, because a lot of people already do that, like Amber does. Amber's always inviting people. So, and then some of you that listen to me, get your ass there. All right. Because I'm not going to, I was sending out like 10 texts, and I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm not going to do that anymore. I want you there, and I want you to want to be there. But the only way that you're going to experience how that group goes is by going to it. All right. So, all right. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I appreciate it. I love you, even you bearded ones. Right? Especially the bearded ones, right? It's hard to keep up a beard. It is. Like, I should whine to women about hair removal. I don't think I have a right to do that. All right. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I appreciate it. I love you. You know I do. Peace out and have a day.